Welcome back, welcome back. So, been in my archives and I completely forgot about this. Now you constantly hear me say, I'm Black Goku, all this other stuff, right? Now, on my journey of learning about actual real life and comparing this Goku story to the biblical story, I came across a whole lot of people from around the whole world that all seem to have something to do with Dragon Ball Z. Now, when you go to China or whatever, Japan, he's the Monkey King, a demon god that actually looks like a monkey. Goku got a tail. Now, I found Goku has the move called Kamehameha, right? Now, since I like words and shit and like to know what shit means, I actually looked that up. And that led me to this story long ago. And now we're going to learn a little something about another Goku that has a really crazy biblical story, it seems like.
This episode is brought to you by Masterworks. Stick around to the end to find out how you can build wealth by investing in art today.
Sound the horns.
A great disturbance had come over the kingdom. A boy of very noble blood had been born, and the mystic seers counseled the king that the child would become a killer of chiefs, who would rule the whole of this island called Hawaii. So King Alapa'i sent out assassins to kill the child. But the boy's mother was a cunning chiefess, and she had arranged for him to be raised by another family in hiding. For 5 years, the boy eluded this death sentence, until the king welcomed him back to court. He grew tall and powerful and brooding. He bore the godly mark of prophecy, and he was called Kamehameha, which meant the lonely one. King Kalaniʻopuʻu had taken the throne sometime after the death of Alapa'i, but now he was dying and the matter of succession was at hand. There were jealous chiefs vying for lands, and hardly 3 years had passed since white men first visited these shores.
That's number 3.
The finest leader to succeed him was his strong nephew, Kamehameha, but the king intended to leave the throne to his eldest son, Kiwala'o, and merely granted some land to Kamehameha and designated him keeper of Ku, the war god.
Oh, really?
The religion of these islands had descended from that of the famed Polynesian explorers, who centuries before discovered and settled the archipelago. Soon blossomed among the people the essence of aloha, a blissful force manifested in kindness and familial love. They cultivated a love for the land, from the coral beds flecked with brilliant creatures to the tall and sleeping rims of volcanoes. The gods had suffused this world with mana, a spiritual energy that permeated all things and prayers and people. But mana was not evenly distributed.
Really?
Those of noble blood possessed it in great quantities, so kings and chiefs claimed the right to issue kapu, spiritual codes of conduct. Kapu demanded commoners lower their heads before chiefs and stipulated that women could not dine with men, nor could
Prostrate.
the divine fruits of corn, bananas, or coconuts. The punishment for breaking the kapu was death, and from the bones of those sacrificed or otherwise slain, one could reap the mana of their enemies. Now denied his place on the throne, Kamehameha defied the king. He sacrificed a rebellious noble and took the mana for himself. Kalaniʻopuʻu was dead, and his furious, disinherited son Keua attacked Kamehameha's lands, killed some of his people, and offered their bodies in sacrifice to his half-brother, the new king, Kiwalao. Kamehameha rallied his chiefs for war. Warriors clashed with jagged clubs and barbed spears, and on the battlefield, King Kiwalao was struck down by a stone. One of Kamehameha's warriors fell on him with a sharp-toothed dagger.
What's the odds he takes this guy down with a stone like David versus Goliath? How many biblical references have you heard so far? I'd sound the horns. I don't know because I'm walking back and forth. But, really, seriously.
And slashed his throat. Kamehameha now reigned over half of the island. Keua fled south, swearing vengeance, and for years he and the other chiefs would bitterly contain Kamehameha's...
Oh, yin and yang. He smashed his head in and said, all right, now we free, and you stay over there, stay away from us, and everything will be all right. We'll all be okay.
Attempts at further expansion. The battle lines held firm. Something was needed to break them.
I wonder what that is. Isn't it strange, these stories? Why they steal so much in these cartoons and tell us so many things and we don't pay attention? I did.
Simon Metcalf cruised off the island of Maui in search of vengeance. Some of the native people had killed one of his crew in retaliation for Captain Metcalf's flogging of a noble chief for a perceived insult. And so now the American trader laid anchor at the village of Oluwalu, warmly called out to trade, and when 100 unarmed men and women paddled out with fruits and flowers, he gave the order to bury them in cannon fire. Metcalf then fled the screaming bay.
Cows.
He had come to the islands to rendezvous with his son Thomas, who soon arrived in his own vessel to trade on Hawaii, ignorant of the deeds of his father. Hawaiians captured the ship, forced the crew overboard, and then beat them to death with paddles. They spared only one, Isaac Davis, for his brave spirit. Together with a captured member of the elder
getting down to get down.
John Young, they went before King Kamehameha. The king calmly offered the two prisoners a choice. They could be killed, or he could lavish them with houses and sumptuous feasts and several beautiful wives, on the condition that they remain in his service, as advisors who would train his soldiers to...
Who the fuck does that? Isn't that what the fuck Goku did? Beat his enemies up and say, listen, dog, I don't want to kill you, but I will. If you stop, you can join me and we can defend the earth together. How's that sound? And you can get stronger, because I know that's all you want. But you're going to know now you're never going to get stronger than me, so what you want to do? Who the fuck? Oh, people actually do these things? These things actually matter in life to spare your enemy? Actually not be a piece of shit? There's a way to go to war with people and then actually call peace and not just, oh, I beat you, so now I gotta destroy you. You people, you're not an animal. You have a brain and a heart. Use it.
Use the muskets and cannons from the captured ship. Young and Davis served him well thereafter and brokered trade with American and British ships, which had begun to frequent the islands in recent years. One trusted member of the king's court, Kaiana, had even visited China and America.
Oh, really?
Trade granted Kamehameha precisely what he wanted. Hordes of guns and cannons to turn...
So, I guess the legend of Kamehameha made it to China, and that's where they, the story, the Kamehameha, Goku, you see how stories flow around the world, and then people be like, yo, that's so great, I want to tell the story. And then years go by, and people leave out the people that was in the story, and then now they're in the story. Get it? Because everybody want to be Goku. Everybody, you won't be like Mike. They want to be like Mike. You get it? It's just reality. It's okay though. I understand. Shit, I wanted to be like Mike too. And then I woke up and realized I ain't got it in me to shoot 1,000 fucking jump shots every day outside, no matter if it's raining or, snowing. Cause that's how Mike became Mike. Mike just didn't get blessed to shit. The nigga was in the gym all day by himself, dog. Wasn't shooting with me in the gym.
For the great Kahekili ruled Maui, and he had slaughtered many in his conquest of Oahu. And there he lived in a house built from the bones of the chiefs who defied him. The man was rumored to be the true father of Kamehameha. It mattered not. Kamehameha invaded Maui and battled against Kahekili's son, Kalanikupule. Young and Davis manned the cannons, and the Hawaiians killed so many that the river became dammed red with bodies. But Kamehameha did not conquer Maui then. In his absence, his old enemy Keua had burned through his kingdom on Hawaii. Kamehameha returned with his devastating gunners and forced Keua's army to retreat south into the terrible Ashlands.
He's a bad man.
A volcano erupted, and a storm of subterranean poison killed hundreds of Keua's men.
Damn.
The elation of victory proved fleeting. Armed with his own guns, Kahekili mounted a coalition of the islands against Kamehameha. His invasion fleet ravaged the sacred temples along the northern shores of Hawaii. Kamehameha met them on the seas, and with muskets and cannons, his men splintered and scattered the invaders.
Woo!
This island could not remain so divided. Kamehameha invited Keua to make peace, and the exhausted rebel came forth in a canoe. Above loomed the king's new lava stone temple atop the Hill of the Whale, and on the shoreline stood Kamehameha and his warriors. Keua could not trust it. He began to cut his own flesh so as to render himself unfit for sacrifice, but the king called out to reassure him. "Rise and come here, that we may know each other." So Keua approached, and when he stepped onto the beach, Kamehameha and his men killed him and all of his party.
I hope he's talking about a woman, because he just said a biblical reference of, "Come here, we're gonna know each other." That means he got busy. They got that bow chicka wow wow. And I think that was a woman that said the name. I don't know. I sound horns. I don't know. I hope it did. I hope because I know that's what that meant, and that's gangster. But that's kind of like the King Solomon thing. I defeated you, and my God proved that I'm stronger. So instead of me obliterating you, I'll marry you into the bloodline, and then you can keep your kingdom, and my father won't smash you to dust. Because I'm not going to attack you no more. There's no need. I beat you. So now my father's going to have his way with you, which is going to be worse, because he's going to just destroy you. So, you want in, and then, King Solomon shit, I don't know nothing about that. Y'all just think King Solomon wanted 100 wives. I need 100 girls. Dog, there's not even 100 hours in a fucking day. He can't even see all his wives for an hour. So what kind of time did he really give to them? What man wants not even a fucking... Get it? You don't get it. You don't get it.
The king took their corpses up to the temple, melted their flesh from their bones, and harvested their mana. Thus, Kamehameha ruled supreme over the island of Hawaii. Kahekili died in 1794, succeeded by his son Kalanikupule on Oahu, who then conquered Maui and attempted to steal British trade ships for his fleet.
Damn,
Kamehameha did not intend to make enemies of the gangster. Courting an alliance with British diplomats, he sent out an army of 10,000 warriors. They overran Maui and then proceeded to swarm the hills of Oahu, where they clashed with defenders under the command of a traitor to Kamehameha, Kaiana. They shot a cannonball through him, and the Oahu forces fell back to their camp on the cliffed overlook of Nu'uanupale. Then came the blare of war shells and the wrath of Kamehameha's warriors, who scaled the mountain shooting and lancing all in their path, until at last the army of Oahu became trapped between their jagged spears in a 1,000-foot drop to the valley below. The men of Kamehameha slew many where they stood, and hundreds more they forced over the precipice. The valley became covered in a sheet of mangled flesh, and the Hawaiians went to behead all of the dead so that their mana would pass to Kamehameha. The body of Kalani Kupule was not among them. Months later, they found him wounded in the mountains, dragged him before Kamehameha at the Hill of the Whale, and sacrificed him.
Damn. So yeah, you don't want to listen,
The islands
huh?
now answered to Kamehameha, all except Kauai and its adjacent island of Niihau. Kamehameha launched an invasion of Kauai, but the fleet was thrown into a howling tempest. It was said that some of the survivors made it to the shores of Kauai, where fierce warriors captured and sacrificed them. Hawaiian warfare had long been absolute, no quarter given to civilians. One boy recalled watching Kamehameha's marauders overrun his village and kill his parents. When the boy attempted to escape with his 3-month-old brother, they speared the infant. But now Kamehameha was presented with a group of civilians who had years before defended their village by breaking a paddle over his head. The king pardoned them and declared the law of the splintered paddle. See to it that our aged, our women, and our children lie down to sleep by the roadside without fear of harm. Non-combatants would thereafter be protected by his sacred kapu. Under him, the old chiefs had abandoned their...
Bro, talk about dedication. See, that's what I mean, back in the day, this is why you had to do real shit. Like, imagine when you fuck up, right, with your squad. The only way you get back in is you gotta break a paddle over your head. How many people would betray you then? They'd be like, nah, I'm not even getting down because I know I'm a betrayer, so I'm gonna have to break a whole lot of paddles over my head. Get it? Real shit keeps the fake niggas away.
Warring,
and if you want real forgiveness, you gotta go through that. We gotta give yourself the business.
One to the 12-year-old Keopuolani,
you know you deserve
the
it.
exalted daughter of his slain enemy, Kiwala'o. And so the people of the islands paid tribute and worked the fruitful land and fished on shorelines more serene and quiet than in centuries past. Years of prosperity could not, however, placate the king's desire to rule Kauai. The island boasted a new king, Kaumoalii. As he prepared to invade, Kamehameha's armies were struck by a vile and deadly pestilence, likely cholera. It seemed a punishment from the gods. 3 men were accused of eating foods forbidden under the kapu, so Kamehameha had their eyes torn from their skulls and their limbs snapped, and then he sacrificed them.
Oh, so it seems like they're like of the Bible, but they on that hardcore stuff that I be talking about. Like, you're not gonna betray God. Why? Because maybe they understood the end of the book. If we fuck up, our children in the future are gonna get pounded, and I'll rip your head off. I will rip your eyes out of your head. But do you understand what's gonna happen to our descendants? They're gonna get pounded. So maybe that's why back in the day people were so hard on each other with this shit. Because, the Lord said, if you don't follow my laws, I'm gonna pound you.
If your energy bill is more than $100 a month, you should try this trick. It's the best way to save on heating bills in 2023. The story began 11 months ago when Donald,
That's for somebody.
Eyes torn from their skulls and their limbs snapped, and then he sacrificed them. In 1810, the king prepared for a renewed assault on Kauai, but first sent a letter to a distant monarch, King George III. His putative ally, the British crown, was facing the might of Napoleon Bonaparte, and Kamehameha leveraged this.
I didn't know that was the same time period.
So many powers, and I so far off cannot assist you. Should any of the powers which you are at war with molest me, I shall expect your protection. Kamehameha requested a ship and brass guns, and sent His Majesty a sacred feather cloak. Kamehameha had grown in reach, power, and wealth. He would soon force the commoners into the mountains to harvest sandalwood, to be traded to Americans to sell in China for the profit of Kamehameha and his chiefs. Kamehameha beheld this powerful kingdom which seemed poised to massacre Kauai. He surrendered, and Kamehameha, now king of the unified islands, intended to honor him with a feast. There, Isaac Davis warned Kamehameha that a few traitorous chiefs were plotting to poison him. Kamehameha escaped, and the chiefs poisoned Davis instead.
It seems somebody understands the bullshit. And they're like, oh yeah, let's go to the big party. Nah, you're not gonna Judas me. Get the fuck out of here with that. Ain't none of that tonight, nigga.
Saddened by this loss, the king had also erred in his pursuit of riches. Forced from their farms to harvest sandalwood, the people began to starve, so the king reversed his command and invested in the production of food. If Kamehameha was a warrior capable of great atrocity against...
Alright, let me pause this. Got some crazies coming through.
Great atrocity against those in his path, he had also become a measured king, bound by the gods to his people. His many wives and children came to his side when he fell ill in 1819. In the coming years, his most favored wife, Ka'ahumanu, would advise his successor to abolish the kapu system. And with it, the sacrifices, rampant capital punishment, and restrictions that had long precluded women from dining with men and accessing high political arenas. The kings and queens would fill the statues to the old gods and adopt the Christianity of American missionaries, and settle the islands with foreign traders and investors, many of whom trafficked in disease and their own perfidious designs upon the islands. Yet among the people would always survive the ancient songs and ceremonies and the warm spirit of aloha. And for now, King Kamehameha died in an age of peace, having fulfilled a prophecy, and all of the islands stood united under the kingdom of Hawaii. So the History Dose artist and editor Joe went all in for this one, because we both think art allows us to appreciate the grandeur and beauty of peoples and places throughout history. But art has also become a powerful tool for preserving your wealth, and Masterworks allows anyone to do this by buying and selling fractional shares of high-value art. High-value art is less susceptible to the volatility of traditional investments, important in the chaos of this year, even as...
Wolf up.
Get beyond love and grief. Exist for the good of man. Truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie. Accept everything just the way it is. The purpose of today's training is to defeat yesterday's understanding. Even if a man has no natural ability, he can be a warrior.
Sound the horns.
Nobody is strong, and nobody is weak if he conceives of the body, from the head to the sole of the foot, as a unity in which a living mind circulates everywhere equally. Also, by training, you will be able to freely control your own body, conquer men with your body, and with sufficient training, you will be able to beat 10 men with your spirit. When you have reached this point, will it not mean that you are invincible? See to it that you temper yourself with 1,000 days of practice and refine yourself with 10,000 days of training. Do not let the body be dragged along by mind, nor the mind be dragged along by the body. Do not let your spirit